Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of Rocket Lab's Electron mission without mission a beat, launching today from Launch Complex 1A in the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the launch pad, and here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together, and we are thrilled that you are here with us this morning, or maybe afternoon or evening, depending where you are. But if it's your first time here, let us know in the chat. We'd love to give you a special shout out there. And as we always do as we get started, let us know where in the world you are all tuning in from. We know we got people all over Earth and love to see where everyone's from. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button. It really does help us out and helps YouTube know that you like what we do. As we said, though, today we are here for Rocket Lab Electron's mission without mission a beat, launching from Launch Complex 1A, the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. We have been hearing updates periodically from Rocket Lab that they have been progressing through the fueling time, and they did start their live stream broadcast here, so we've patched that in, and once we see them go actually live and beginning their coverage, we'll patch them in and hear an update from Rocket Lab Mission Control. But today they will be launching 2 Earth observation microsatellites for the Black Sky constellation. This is another Black Sky launch. Rocket Lab's Electron has launched a majority of this Black Sky constellation. Today's launch will be the second Rocket Lab launch of 2022, the 25th Electron launch in its history, and already the 35th orbital launch attempt of 2022, and we are just kicking off April, so set to be a record-breaking year of launches. Today's payload is weighing about 120 kilograms or 260 pounds, and will be launching at an inclination of 42 degrees up to 430 kilometers, circular low Earth orbit. Though Electron does have reusable capability that they've been testing, they're not going to be attempting to do a recovery here today, but we are expecting within the next 3 or 4 missions to see that first helicopter recovery. So excited to see what is happening there. If you guys are down on location and happen to be looking at the view site for the Electron launch, if you guys get any photos or videos and want to send those in for a chance to be shown on the stream or later, you can do so over on our Discord. You can join that with the link that's in the chat there, or you can send it to us over on Twitter, and we may retweet it there. Make sure you use hashtag TLP Network and TLP News. It really helps us out. People all over the world tuning in. We've got Ireland, Ohio, Belgium, Poland, Detroit, Michigan, England, Texas, Tasmania, and Melbourne. Awesome to have you all here. We got Philippines, Ohio. Great to have you all in the chat. As always, we always like to mention it over on our shop. Use promo code LAUNCHDAY, all one word in capitals, and you can get 10% off of our shop there. We do ship globally, so no worries to our friends around the world being able to get something from the shop there. And we've got sizes from small all the way up to 6X in some sizes, so should be something available for everyone. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the Launchpad in your questions chat, and that'll help flag us to make sure we don't miss it. So you can start sending those in, and we'll answer those live as we count down towards when this liftoff should occur. Currently, we knew they were targeting 41 after the hour, which is about 21 minutes from now. So we should be seeing them go live here and give us an update very shortly. So they generally begin their coverage about 20 minutes prior to liftoff. So hopefully in the next couple of minutes we'll get an update on the state of Electron and how everything is progressing. We've got Chile. Good morning from Southwest Florida. Great to have you here. Auma, that's awesome. Glad to hear that. I think pretty much everybody does in the world, which is rare to have a unifying factor, but I'm glad that we do have one for that. Today's mission, as I said, without mission a beat. RocketLab, loving to name their missions with unique names, will be carrying 2 Earth observation microsats for the Black Skies constellation. This is just like the previous mission, the Owl's Night continues. This one will not be recovering that payload. The Black Sky Company is a Seattle-based leading provider of real-time geospatial intelligence that uses their second-generation smallsats to detect objects of interest. These smallsats are designed and produced in a partnership with Leo Stella. Black Sky's constellation gathers observations from space, air, and various terrestrial sensors and can image a location multiple times a day. Once in orbit, these 2 capture satellites with a sub-meter resolution will go into operation. The company uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to handle the universe of data in the most efficient way. So some very smart but very small satellites. The 2 satellites weighing 60 kilograms by themselves each, which is so 120 kilograms total, 260 pounds. Tampa launch is less than 20 minutes away. Virginia, I love the various mission titles that they create. Yeah, they're always really creative there. It's awesome to see. The Gavel cheers from Melbourne. Great to see you. Morning, Sir Roadkill. Oh, yeah, awesome. Good to know. If you guys haven't yet, also, we do have our live tracker for the status of the Artemis 1 dress rehearsal, so you make sure you pull that up as well. Give it a like. It really does help us out. And RocketLab is going live here, so we're going to patch in their audio as they get started here. And if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad, and we'll be answering those live as we continue towards the liftoff of Electron's 25th mission from Launch Complex 1A. This is the original launch complex from the Mahia Peninsula. They now have 2 launch complexes down on the Mahia Peninsula, both active, so we're going to see a lot more Electron launches coming in the near future. But let's listen in to RocketLab Mission Control for an update on Electron as we count down towards liftoff in about 15 minutes time. But you're watching our live launch coverage of Without Mission a Beat, Electron 25, right here on the launch pad.
April 3rd, the time is 1:23 a.m. New Zealand Daylight Time as we await the liftoff of our 25th Electron launch without mission a beat. My name is Alex Lanosia, a Senior Engineer for the Neutron Program.
And I'm Felicity Powell, the Education Program Lead here at RocketLab, and it's great to be with you for this launch. We're joining you here in the RocketLab Mission Control Center to take you through our 25th Electron launch today, a dedicated mission for Black Sky through Mission Manager's spaceflight. As we proceed with the countdown, Electron is now vertical and ready on the pad. Our first opportunity to launch comes at 01:41 local time or 12:41 UTC. If you're joining us from the United States, that launch time translates to 08:41 Eastern or 05:41 Pacific.
Our launch window today is around 2 hours. We have a couple of opportunities for instantaneous launches within that, but should we need to stand down from a launch attempt today, we have backup opportunities throughout this week and next to try again. However, with a smooth run through our launch operations so far, we're moving through our pre-launch procedures comfortably as we approach that T0 milestone. Today's mission is through launch services provider Spaceflight on behalf of Black Sky, a real-time geospatial intelligence company building a constellation of small satellites in low Earth orbit. Without mission a beat, we'll launch on a southeastern trajectory from Launch Complex 1 on the Mahia Peninsula, carrying 2 of Black Sky's Earth-observing satellites to a 430-kilometre circular orbit, where they'll join the rest of the satellites in the constellation. With this mission today, there will be a total of 3 deployments. You might recognise this sequence from our 2 previous back-to-back missions, Love at First Insight and A Data with Destiny, both of which used a modified kick stage to fit the 2 Black Sky satellites within Electron's fairing. The Black Sky satellite that sits on top of the top hat structure will deploy first, followed by the structure itself, and then the second Black Sky satellite will be released, signalling the end of the mission.
This process will only take a couple of minutes to complete and will begin at around the T+53 minute mark. We'll bring you a simulated payload deployment along with live comms from Mission Control to show you how it's done. Powered by artificial intelligence, Black Sky can use its constellation to monitor activities and locations around the world. This provides valuable insights to decision makers across government, commercial, and humanitarian aid industries. Here's more from Black Sky.
And as they play this video showing what Black Sky's kind of mission and purpose is, if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of Electron 25 without mission a beat, playing a video there as we come down to T-minus 14 minutes, 55 seconds and counting. Fueling has completed. So both Electron's first and second stage are now fully fueled with liquid oxygen and RP1 kerosene, and they are preparing the pad for launch. To give you an idea of what the launch sequence will be, at T-minus 18 minutes, that's where they had a go, no-go poll. T-minus 2 minutes, we'll see launch auto sequence start. Prior to that, we'll also see strong back retract. Through the launch, T plus 2 minutes, 29 seconds is MECO, followed 3 seconds later by stage separation. 3 more seconds later, the second stage will ignite, and about 30 seconds later, we will see fairing separation. Big moment into the mission, T plus 6 minutes, 55 seconds, is when battery hot swap occurs. All rockets have batteries, and what RocketLab does is, instead of keeping the extra weight, they jettison 2 of the 4 batteries once they've depleted, but they have to hot swap over to the 2 new batteries, so big moment there. Electron officially reaches orbit 9 minutes 35 seconds into flight. The stage 2 will separate from the kick stage 9 minutes 43 seconds into flight. Then we'll see a larger break. This is when they'll pull up their animation and wait as we coast towards when the kick stage Curie engine will ignite 51 minutes into flight. That'll have a 1 minute, about 40-second burn, and then payload deployment a few moments later.
Space for Black Sky in the past 5 months. These satellites will join Black Sky's current constellation of 13 smallsats, eventually expanding to over 60, which are used to provide on-demand, real-time Earth observation data and satellite imagery.
As we approach T-minus 12 minutes, we're now coming up on the final go, no-go poll by our launch director to determine whether to proceed with the final minutes in the countdown. In this poll, each of our operators will check in from their stations to confirm their relevant Electron systems are operating as they should. Let's listen in to the roll call now.
All operators, this is the LD on mission, proceeding with the go, no-go sequence. Stage,
Stages go.
avionics,
Avionics, go.
GNC,
GNC is go.
VMS,
BMS is go.
T1,
T1 is go.
GC,
GC is go.
PLS,
PLS is go.
RSO,
RSO is go.
MET,
Mid is go.
and I have a go from MM, LD sub.
LD sub go.
That concludes the go, no-go sequence. We are T-minus 24 seconds and counting. We are go for terminal count at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word hold procedure is in effect.
And with that, Mission Control confirms that we'll be proceeding with the rest of today's countdown and moving forward to liftoff. We're at T-minus 11 minutes and counting, and we are on track for liftoff at 1:41 a.m. local time.
And that is great news there. The mission control director and the operators have cleared the range, checked out Electron, and the fueling is complete, and they are now go to enter that final 10 minutes of the countdown as we proceed towards a liftoff time at 12:41 UTC. If you're just joining us, take a moment, engage that like button. It really does help us out. If you guys have questions, you can continue sending those in the chat. Just take us at the launch pad, and we will be answering
GC, LD on mission.
those live.
LD, GC.
Yes, sir. Please proceed with sequence 55, the pad terminal checks.
Sequence 55 in work.
Now, before we get into a little more detail about Electron, for those who might have missed our launch last month, we lifted off from Pad B here at Launch Complex 1 for the very first time. This is our third pad globally, allowing us to launch and then launch again without the hindrance of pad maintenance or recycle time. Pad B joins Pad A, which we're launching from today, at LC-1 in Mahia, the world's first private orbital launch site on the east coast of New Zealand. At Launch Complex 1, we're capable of supporting up to 120 launch opportunities every year. Now, unfortunately, we won't be launching Neutron from either of these pads. We'll be launching Neutron from RocketLab's Launch Complex 2 on Wallops Island in Virginia. Neutron is the program that Alex here works on, and it sounds like you're looking for colleagues.
That's right, and we're looking to expand the team fast. We've got roles in propulsion, vehicle design, analysis, and plenty more. So if you're interested in building the rocket of 2050 today, check out the careers page on our website at rocketlabusa.com. And if you haven't seen it yet, here's a sneak peek of what our new 250,000 square foot facility will look like. This building will facilitate rocket production, assembly, and integration, and will be home to our 5th Global Operations Centre for launch and on-orbit operations. Plus, we'll be launching and landing Neutron just down the road at the southern end of Wallops Island.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 high voltage batteries are ready for flight.
GC, LD on mission.
LD, GC.
Please proceed with sequence 58, launch pad ready.
Sequence 58 in work.
LD stage mission.
Go ahead, stage.
All blips are nominal. Stage terminal checks are complete.
Roger, thank you, sir.
As we head into Strongback Retract, let's take a closer look at Electron on the pad.
Electron is our 18-metre tall, well, 18 and a bit today, two-stage launch vehicle made with carbon composite material, making it incredibly lightweight but also strong enough to withstand the forces of launch. While the carbon composite gives Electron its sleek black appearance, you'll notice here it now wears 2 white stripes. These stripes are made out of ice, formed on the outside of the rocket due to the very, very cold temperature of the liquid oxygen used to propel Electron into Earth's orbit. The liquid oxygen and kerosene propellant mix is used to power the 9 3D printed Rutherford engines on Stage 1. These engines are named after Sir Ernest Rutherford, the famous physicist and New Zealander who discovered the radioactive element radon, as well as the concept of radioactive half-life.
That's right. Those 9 Rutherford engines power the first stage until Electron is at an altitude of around 70 kilometers above sea level. At this point, the next stage of the journey is carried by just 1 Rutherford engine, specially designed to work in the vacuum of space. We also have another engine named after another famous physicist, Marie Curie. Our Curie engine is the 11th engine on Electron and is housed within Electron's third stage, also known as the kick stage. This kick stage is important for delivering the payload to its exact destination in space. Today, after Electron lifts off the pad and successfully completes Stage 1 and Stage 2 burn to get us into space, Curie will then kick in to propel Black Sky's 2 satellites to a 430-kilometer circular orbit.
The kick stage is a small but mighty upper stage responsible for our incredibly accurate payload insertion, on average within just 1 kilometre of the target orbit. In order to achieve this high accuracy, we separate the kick stage just at the perigee of orbit as shown here. Today's satellites are headed to a circular orbit. When we first separate the kick stage, it's on an elliptical first pass. It needs a propulsion system to boost it up into the right orbit for payload deployment, and that's where Curie comes in.
So we enter a coast phase for a period of time until the kick stage and attached payloads reach their desired apogee. That's when the Mark II Curie engine ignites for about 45 seconds to circularize the orbit ahead of payload deployment shortly after. From here, our Curie engine can reignite to lower the apogee, reducing the on-orbit time by up to 99.7%, doing our part to keep space nice and tidy.
Now, while we are best known for our rockets, we also make spacecraft components used on thousands of satellites all across the solar system. RocketLab manufactures reaction wheels and star trackers with our team at Sinclair Interplanetary, solar panels at SolAero, separation systems from PSC, and in-space software by the RocketLab team at ASI in Colorado. We're fast becoming a one-stop shop for all things space.
That's right. If you've got a sensor or an experiment, we've got the components and the expertise to get your idea on orbit.
And so, at T-minus 4 minutes and 22 seconds, it's time to go to space. Electron remains in good health, and the black sky satellites inside the fairing are good to go. The weather remains green, and the path to orbit is looking clear from Launch Complex 1 at T0. Soon we'll hear the call that LOX loading is complete on Electron, telling us that the rocket is fully fueled for launch. Once the rocket has completed fueling, Electron's internal flight computers will take over the countdown to run the vehicle autonomously.
Our launch director will be counting down the clock from mission control from T-minus 10 seconds, and at T-minus 3 seconds, those 9 Rutherford engines we mentioned earlier will ignite before Electron lifts off the pad at T0. We're going to hand over now to mission control to check in with the operators ahead of launch.
That is ready for launch.
All stations, this is the LD on mission. From now on, there shall be no red flags on your critical LCCs. VMS LD on mission.
Go ahead.
Confirm flight computer as goes are green.
Confirm as goes are green.
VMS, lock auto sequence and confirm.
Auto sequence is locked.
All stations LD on mission. We are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LD is go for launch. LD Shadow.
How does Shadow go?
And as we come down to T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, as always, let's see a go, no go in the chat as we come. We just heard there, mission control is go. Everything is proceeding well. The range is good. The weather's good. The rocket's good. And they are coming down to T-minus 2 minutes, 5 seconds and counting.
Vehicle is on internal power.
Box load complete. Skate and recirc.
AFTS is green and enabled for flight.
Anti-geysering disabled.
T-minus 60 seconds.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 are pressed for flight.
High flow engine purge enabled. Water deluge is activated.
T-minus
T
20
minus 20
seconds.
seconds and counting. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Just take up propulsion nominal.
And Electron
HP battery
25,
discharge is
without
normal.
mission a beat, has cleared the pad, is on its way, already traveling 400 kilometers an hour, coming up to 2 kilometers in altitude. About 90 seconds away from max Q.
And there we have it. Our 25th Electron launch vehicle is off the pad for this mission and progressing well on its way to low Earth orbit. Soon the vehicle will approach the point in its journey when it experiences the most amount of stress, maximum aerodynamic pressure, which is known as max Q.
About 60 seconds away from MECO, main engine cutoff.
And there we have it. We have word from Mission Control that we can confirm that Electron has successfully passed through max Q and is continuing on its southeastern trajectory off the coast of New Zealand. The first stage's Rutherford engines are firing perfectly as we come up to the next major milestone ahead of the first separation event for Electron.
AOS Chatham Station.
We're approaching main engine cutoff, or MECO. This is when Electron throttles down just a bit before shutting off those 9 Rutherford engines on stage 1 we mentioned earlier. This reduction in thrust allows for a clean separation of the first and second stages before the singular Rutherford engine on the second stage fires up and takes the satellites the rest of the way into orbit. We should see both of those actions on screen and hear the call-outs from our operators and Mission Control shortly.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition.
There we go. We have confirmed a successful transition from the first to second stages of Electron's flight, with MECO, stage separation and second stage ignition all nominal. You can now see the orange glow of the space-optimized
HP
Rutherford
battery
engine as it carries on into space.
The protective shell at the top of Electron, known as the payload fairing, protects the satellites as the vehicle launches through Earth's atmosphere. Since we've now cleared the lower atmosphere, those satellites don't need that protection anymore. In fact, we need to jettison that protective shell so we can safely deploy the satellites to low Earth orbit.
Propulsion holding nominal.
There goes the payload fairing. Black Sky's satellites are now
Guidance
exposed to space, no longer needing this shell to protect them, as Electron has already punched through Earth's atmosphere to take them to their orbital destination. We've got a short time gap now between this latest event and the next one coming up for Electron's second stage, which involves swapping out the batteries that power the second stage Rutherford engine. The mission is continuing nominally as we approach that next milestone, with the second stage traveling at nearly 9,000 kilometers an hour at an altitude of 139 kilometers.
If you've just joined us, we've had a great start to today's mission so far. Electron successfully cleared the pad at Launch Complex 1 just a few moments ago, and we're now well on our way to space, having completed a successful pass through max Q, main engine cutoff, and stage separation to reach this point now in the mission. Electron's second stage, with the Black Sky satellites on board, is headed to low Earth orbit 430 kilometers above Earth, where they'll join the rest of Black Sky's constellation of Earth-observing smallsats.
As we continue without missing a beat, Electron is currently coasting in its second stage of flight before our kick stage kicks in
Stage
and takes those
phenomenal.
2 Black Sky global satellites to where they need to go. Mission Control is reporting all systems remain healthy on the vehicle as it travels at nearly 12,000 kilometers per hour.
Back to the mission on your screen, we're coming up to a milestone you'll see used only on Electron, the swap out of batteries that our Rutherford engines draw their energy from to continue operating their pumps. The vehicle has run through the set of batteries we started with at stage separation, and so now the second stage of the vehicle needs to swap over to a fresh battery to keep things going. We call this move the battery hot swap. We should hear that call come from Mission Control shortly, but keep an eye on your screen too, as sometimes you can catch a glimpse of them falling
200
away.
seconds remaining.
HV battery discharge nominal, approaching hot swap.
Starting throttle down.
Hot swap successful.
Battery Jason.
And there goes the call for a successful battery hot swap. Seen the shiny silver object on your screen falling away from the second stage engine. Electron continues well onto its target
Okay,
430
yes, it's safe.
kilometers orbit, traveling at a speed of 16,000 kilometers per hour and an altitude of 200 kilometers.
HV battery discharge holding
Electron
nominal.
is currently in its second stage burn on the way to low Earth orbit to deliver Black Sky's payloads. We know that Black Sky's constellation can be used by all sorts of groups and
Stage
organizations
proportional
between
holding
government, commercial, and aid. But what does that actually look like on the ground? To give you some idea, Black Sky's AI-powered constellation was recently used to evaluate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on shipping and supply chain logistics around the world.
Coming up next will be second engine cutoff, or SECO, on Electron's stage 2. This manoeuvre follows relatively the same procedure as main engine cutoff, where the Rutherford engine on the second stage will throttle down before shutting off, ahead of separation between the second stage and the kick stage.
There will be a bit of a gap between kick stage separation and payload deployment, as this stage separation places the kick stage in an elliptical orbit of Earth first. We'll explain what happens then, after we receive confirmation from Mission Control, first of SECO, and stage separation.
Entering burnout detect.
Guidance is in toner, 27 seconds remaining.
Seco.
And great news there from Mission Control with a successful SECO. The kick stage is now separated ahead of payload deployment, which is set to take place in the next 45 minutes or so. Due to the innovative payload design intended to keep Electron lean and efficient, we won't have live video of payload deployment for this mission. But we will be back to listen out for those final few calls from Mission Control, as well as watch an animated view of the end of the mission to visualize what's happening up there in low Earth orbit.
We'll take a bit of a break now, and we will see you back here in time for payload deployment in about 40 minutes or so. Stay tuned.
And there we go. They've got their animation, live view mission control, as we await about 40 minutes until that Curie stage ignites, and then about 5 or 6 minutes after that is when we'll actually have deployment of these two black sky satellites. But if you're just joining us, take a moment, make sure you've engaged that like button. If you guys have questions, now's the time to send them in. Just make sure you tag us at the Launchpad in the chat, and we'll be answering those live for a little bit, and then we'll take a quick commentary break after that as we wait during this coast phase to that last burn and then deployment. Sona, thanks Launchpad for bringing us the launches to us. I've been around since the first space flights. Yes, I'm that old. And watching space flights never gets old. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Sonia? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Let me know in the chat how to say it. I'll try to remember it. That's awesome. Jealous that you've seen it since the beginning, but we're entering this next new really exciting era. So glad to see that people of all ages are getting excited about watching us going to space and just the frequency we're going to space. This was the 35th launch of 2022, which is absolutely amazing since we had like a decade where we didn't get over probably 20 or 25 when we had no American rockets, no RocketLab, no Astra, no Firefly, none of those. So excited to see how this year progresses and what other new rockets come online. Lots of new ones in development for the next couple of years. Aren, was this the first Electron night launch? I guess they had less holds with the wind at night. I believe that is true. There's generally a little bit less wind sometimes in the night, depending on the season. Obviously, right now in New Zealand, it is their fall. They're going into their fall season. But no, we have had evening Electron launches before. We've also had really early morning ones where like it was dark, but then like right before launch, the sun started to rise. So we have seen them launch pretty much any time. It's not really dependent on the weather. It's dependent on where the payload needs to go. That's what picks their launch. Oh, you definitely do. You definitely do there, Sonia. Virginia, Zach, when is their next launch? So we don't have another one scheduled just yet from them. We did hear they were trying to do every month to 6 weeks or so, but it all depends on their payloads. They got lots of Electrons in the factory, all laying out there, so they're ready to crank these out, especially now with 2 pads. So they're ready to go, and they're bringing that second pad already online. But they were saying they could now do 2 launches within a few days or within a week. So they're working through that process. So once we hear of another one, we will schedule that stream, and hopefully we'll hear about that one in the near future. And as we wait for some questions come in, keep sending those in. Take us at the launch pad. Make sure you head on over to our Discord. If you like space, it's a great place to hang out. And head on over and check out our shop during this time. It's a great little break. You can use promo code LAUNCHDAY, get 10% off of everything in the shop there. And yes, it was not an April Fool's Day joke. We did release the first ever collection of TLP underwear, leggings, and sports bras. You guys asked for it. They are now available, so you can check those out on the shop there. Didn't they build a pad in the US too? Yes, so they are building one at Wallops. That's also where they're going to be building their new large facility, that 250,000 square feet facility where they will build Neutron, their new rocket, to compete with Falcon 9. That will be built there and launched from the United States. They have not brought that pad online, though. I believe it's gone through some testing, but we have not seen them launch from there yet. James Webb is just taking a quick break due to the Artemis wet dress rehearsal, just due to limitations in the studio. We're still waiting for our third computer to arrive for us to be able to do these multi-streams, and it was James Webb or wet dress, so we want to make sure we covered the wet dress rehearsal, and then we'll go from there. James Webb will be back online, though, starting in, well, about 30-35 hours. Because we're 29 hours, 42 minutes away from the beginning of the 2-hour wet dress rehearsal window. Well, with that, we're going to take a little bit of a quick commentary break. We're watching as Electron coasts through low Earth orbit here. We expect the kick stage Curie engine to ignite 51 minutes into the mission. So we've got about 35 minutes till then. So we're going to take a quick commentary break, and then we will be back just before that third stage, technically. This is the kick stage ignition, which will be followed by payload deployment just a few moments later. So stay with us right here on the launch pad. And as we come to 51 minutes after launch, we are standing by for the kick stage Curie engine to be ignited for the final burn ahead of payload deployment.
T plus 52 minutes as we welcome you back to the live broadcast of Rocket Lab's 25th Electron launch. Felicity will take us through a bit of a mission recap and what has occurred so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Without mission a beat, this mission lifted off the pad at Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1 at 0141 New Zealand time or 1241 UTC. Electron had a clean pass through max Q, main engine cutoff, first and second stage separation, and then second engine cutoff and final stage separation of the kick stage. This kick stage is carrying today's pair of black sky satellites to low Earth orbit and is now coming up on payload deployment. Soon we'll see the last 3 events in this mission.
As we mentioned before the break, the Curie engine will ignite to position the kick stage in a circular orbit ahead of payload deployment. Then the first black sky satellite will separate from the kick stage at just the right spot at 430 kilometers altitude, next to the top hat extension structure that kept that first satellite attached to the kick stage while protecting the second satellite beneath it will be ejected. This then makes way for the deployment of the second and final satellite for this mission into its orbital plane. Those 3 events should happen within a couple minutes of each other, so let's cross over to this animated view of payload deployment to keep track of the process while listening in to mission control.
Upper payload deployed.
You heard it there. We now have confirmation that the first of the 2 black sky satellites have been successfully delivered to its new home in low Earth orbit. We'll give the satellite some space before we make the next maneuver, tipping our top hat, so to speak, to clear the path for the next satellite to deploy. That should be taking place shortly.
Payload adapter deployed.
That call out from Mission Control confirms we've had a successful separation of the upper stage extension. We're now onto the last event in payload deployment, separation of the second Gen 2 Black Sky satellite joining the other now 14 already on orbit. This should be taking place in just a few moments from now, so let's take a listen back into Mission Control.
Lower payload deployed. Mission success.
There it goes. Mission Control have confirmed the second Black Sky satellite has now successfully deployed to its new home in orbit. Welcome to space, Black Sky and spaceflight, and congratulations on a successful mission. Thank you for your continued support in this launch and over the last year.
And that completes today's 25th Electron launch.
And there we go. Electron 25, mission without a beat. without missing a beat, complete. If it's your first time here, take a moment, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really does help us out here at TLP. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. If you haven't yet, head on over, check out our wet dress rehearsal live stream. We're going to be keeping that up, giving you status updates throughout the countdown as we go through the next about 30 hours as NASA conducts the first ever wet dress rehearsal of the Space Launch System as we count down towards the launch of Artemis 1 later this year. Right now, the Orion and SLS spacecrafts are powered up. And coming up a little bit later is when we expect some of the flame diverters to be put into their position. Even though they're not launching, they're going to go through everything all the way down to about T-minus 10 seconds. So make sure you check out that stream. Hang out in the chat. And if you ever have questions, you can drop those in there. But that's going to do it for our live launch coverage of Electron 25. Make sure you stay tuned. Lots of other launches coming up this month, at least 9 more. We've got Axiom 1, we've got Crew 4, we've got Falcon 9 NROL, Starlink, and many others. So we appreciate having you all here. But that is going to do it for us today. Make sure you have subscribed, ring that bell so you get notified for upcoming launches, exclusive interviews. We got a bunch coming out and more. But for now, that's going to do it from here in the TLP studio. This is Zach signing off. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.